we do have a new Speaker of the House on the way. Of course, he's only gotten through round one, and that would be, drum roll please, shall we? Steve Scalise. Steve Scalise, I know he wasn't necessarily everybody's first pick. I know a lot of you wanted to see Donald Trump in there. I know a lot of you, myself included actually, were very interested in seeing Jim Jordan, only because Jim Jordan has this background in economics. I mean, he promotes that he was a wrestler in college, but he actually was an economics major, and we could use a few people who had their heads screwed on, right, as far as the economy goes these days. But Jim Jordan is now supporting Steve Scalise. And so you're seeing people coalesce around Steve Scalise. Matt Gaetz coming out in favor of Steve Scalise. Matt Gaetz, the congressman from Florida, being the one that launched this whole thing, right, to get McCarthy out of there. And so Steve Scalise, who is a conservative, he's somebody who has backed Trump, somebody who certainly is very, very well thought of. But the question now becomes, can he take it to the finish line? You have Nancy Mace, you have Lauren Brobart, you got Max Miller that are kind of on the fence. And you know what's going to need to happen, everyone, in order for this to go smoothly? Everybody's going to have to come on board, because I'll tell you one thing. We don't want Hakeem Jeffries there, the Democrat, becoming Speaker of the House. That's not really going to happen. I'm kind of kidding on that front. But there are crazier things. I would say this: Donald Trump is still expected to make an appearance there in D.C. And while he had been supporting Jim Jordan, I want to point out that Jim Jordan is now supporting Steve Scalise. So look, I think the bottom line here is everybody's been a little shaken up by the events of the last 5 days, really, that have been unfolding since the weekend. And there is a desire to kind of just jump on board with someone that can show some leadership. Again, I would only point out that Jim Jordan had the economics background. Jim Jordan has been all over the Biden administration in terms of trying to figure out just exactly what was going down there with Hunter Biden. And I appreciate that sentiment and his inquisitiveness and his constant questioning and his desire to launch this impeachment inquiry, which it felt like, with Kevin McCarthy, it was like kicking and screaming, was it not? I mean, it just took forever, and that was sort of surprising to see. So now we're at the point here where it's going to be taken to the floor, and it's really important that all the Republicans come and vote in favor of one guy. Otherwise, we're going to go through these multiple rounds again. And should that happen, Donald Trump's like, hey, I'm here. I'm willing, sort of. I mean, I don't think he really wants this, because he's very focused on the presidency, and it would kind of be a distraction. And, he wants to focus on the big play, if you would, and that would be becoming the next president of the United States. But he's still said, look, if push comes to shove and we're really in a bind, I'll do what I need to do. Remember Steve Bannon, of course, pushing this idea. I've showed you this sound before. Steve Bannon saying, look, if we could just get Trump in there for 100 days, he could really solve a whole lot of problems. And the feeling was, that he would be able to kind of bring people together and also take a red marker to the budget line. Here you go.
I mean, the images that we're seeing.
Forgive me, no. Wrong sound. Anyway, you've seen it a couple times. Steve Bannon really making this push, 100 days of Trump, wanting to make sure that he's in there to kind of help solve some of these things. So whether or not we really are able to see that, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's in the cards. I know a lot of people would like to see it, but that's something that would really be kind of far-fetched at this point. At this point, you got Matt Gaetz coming out in favor of Steve Scalise. You've got Jim Jordan, who was running there in favor of Steve Scalise. And one would anticipate that Donald Trump also then would be also in favor of Steve Scalise. So the important thing is, Speaker of the House coming forward, and hopefully somebody who will really take the initiative to make sure that we are more proactive on the budgeting front, that we are more proactive in terms of forcing Democrats to really be more thoughtful about their spending, because the $33 trillion and counting cannot continue. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.